How are you? I'm so excited to be here and chatting with you again. It seems like it's been forever, but it's only been a day. And yeah, so today was a good day. I got up early, and despite the, big crash yesterday of the mirror, apparently the gym was safe, and we were able to go and do our little workout this morning. And again, like, so many people were so nice to me. Like, I was talking to my son because he had a soccer game like 25 minutes away from here, maybe 30, I don't know, whatever. It was quite a while, like not quite a while, but it was a car ride. And so, I was talking about, how, like, I just have this thing, like, to not constantly, but, like, compliment others. Like, you see something you like their shoes, you like their hair, and it's just the best feeling to watch them light up. And 9 out of 10 times they'll take the compliment. They'll be like, oh, like, kind of like taken aback, like it's not something they hear all the time. And it just is so heartwarming to watch, like, somebody else just glow up, and you don't know what they're going through. Like, they could have been having a really tough day, or they could have really struggled getting into the gym, or they could have had an argument with their kids or their loved one, or just so many different things can be going on. They could be hating their job, like anything, right? And so I was telling my son, I was like, it was so weird because today was like one of those days. It was just an average day, and I was like, it was so funny because I got a compliment from another lady, and then another lady came up and she's like, yeah, I was just telling her this. And then, somebody else did. And I got like 5 compliments, and I was like telling my son about this. And I was like, because first I was telling him to compliment others, I was like, not telling him, but encouraging him, like, like even your opponents. I was like, your opponents, like, when you go out there, it is a form of psychological warfare, right? Like, you're going out there, you're playing a sport, you're doing an activity, and you guys are conspiring against one another. You're in competition with each other. And like, this competitive nature is bringing out something extra in you, like, and bringing out in them. And I was like, what if you flip the script? Like, so many times you hear people like talking trash and, saying mean things to each other. I'm like, flip the script, like, flip the script. Say something really nice to them. Be like, oh man, you have really good boss. Like, say something, because if you say something to them, like, and you say something nice, you are now not my enemy, right? Like, in my mind, you still may be my enemy, on this field, but for them, they're going to think of you a little bit differently. Like, they're not going to go in for that extra, like, dirty maneuver. They're not going to do, because like, somehow, some way, you gave them a compliment. You saw them. We all want to be seen. We all want to be appreciated. We all want to be noticed and loved and cared for. Like, maybe this is the only time this kid's gotten a compliment in a long time. Maybe their coach just ripped into him on the bench, and now you are now their friend, and they're gonna play differently. And so I was talking about that, and I was like, and okay, maybe that doesn't even work, that strategy, but try it. And I was like, and then even like the more compliments you give, like, they're going to come back to you. And that's not why you do it, but like, this is just like a symbol of life. Like, the more you do of anything in life, like, the more it's going to be reflected back and come back to you. And so I was like saying, I'm like, I must have got a lot of compliments today, because I've been like dishing so many out to so many people that, like, somehow now they're coming back to me. And it was really just nice. I mean, they were all, very kind things. And I think of all the compliments I got today, like, the one that like touched my heart the most was like from a lady, Denise. And she was like, I like to watch you dance, and every time you dance, you're just getting better and better. And I'm like, that's what it's about. Like, and that's what I tell my kids. I was like, when we go back to that 10,000 hour thing, I'm like, it's an arbitrary number, right? Like, it doesn't matter what the number is. And there's no, like, we're logging it, and now we've hit 10,000 and we are professionals at whatever we're doing. But like, I was, encouraging him. We were talking about, he has players on his team, and everybody, like, not for the high school team, but his club team, they are like a family. They've been together for a really long time. Some have went away and then come back, but the core of them have been together for many years. I mean, they have supported one another through unimaginable things, and they are just like a brotherhood, and it is so beautiful to watch and witness those relationships, who are in different cities and different schools, different backgrounds, different family lives. It is just so beautiful to watch, like, because they're very supportive of one another. There's never any, you never hear any like, like unkindness to each other. Like, they really treat one another, and if there is any kind of constructive criticism, it is just that. It's like, oh, next time, watch the, it's not to like build you, push you down. It's to build you up. And sometimes in teenage sports, I have witnessed, all kinds of dynamics, and sometimes they are like really cruel to each other. I'm like, hey, I'm not going to want to pass you the ball if you just ripped to me 2 minutes ago, like, you're just, there's this, like, piece of you that's like, hey, like, you just really hurt my feelings. And I mean, I don't know. I never played, so I can't, and I'm obviously not a male, but, but I can imagine I am still a human. And if somebody's like ripping me down, like, I'm not in my, peak performance. I'm like, having to clean that up, and, is it true? Is it, like, there's a big process that goes on now. And probably back, when I was a teenager, I would have just believed whatever anybody said and been like, oh no, like, I have to do it the way they say. And, you've got coaches yelling at you doing it one way, kids telling you to do another, your brain telling you. I can't imagine. So, kudos to all the kids out there that are playing some kind of sport and able to handle the psychological factors, the physical factors, the yelling at you. It is a huge dynamic. But he was talking about how, there are two players, and, one is exceptionally well. Like, he is just, there's no question. He is the absolute best on the team. He's probably one of the absolute best in the age group. And, I talk about it. I'm like, he so deserves every accolade he gets, because he is one of the hardest working players I've seen in his age group. And I started talking to him about this. I said, I had the same conversation with your brother, right before he started really putting in the grind. And I just explained to him, like, here you guys all are. I mean, within reason, you guys are pretty close. I mean, everybody has different personal skills. Like, one may be faster, but one may be more technical, and that's the beauty of a team. It's like a village. So it's like, where you excel, somebody else, it may be their weakness, but then, where your weaknesses, they excel. And so, like, you come together and you create this beautiful quote work of a team that, like, is like utilizing all their strengths and is aware of their own weaknesses and attempting to improve them, but at the same time know they can rely on somebody else on the team who that is their strength. So I say all that to say, so we were talking and I said, that kid puts in more hours than anybody else on that team. And so it's not surprising that he is naturally so much better. And he is gifted naturally, right? Like, he could probably have never do all that things and he'd still be like at the top of the, the cream of the crop. But he, in addition to that, puts like that, you have that natural raw talent, and then you have this crazy work ethic where you're putting in extra time. You're just touching the ball wherever you can. Like, and that's what I said. I'm like, it's in life. Like, you think about it, like, you go to a practice, you have, 3 practices a week, and you have 2 games a week, and you're doing that. And that's great. And if that's what level you want to stay at, continue to do that. And everything, it doesn't have to be about being the best or becoming the best. Like, you can just enjoy where you're at too. There is no, I know we always have this desire to be better and want more, but sometimes that is fine. Like, you are A-okay if you get to play with your friends and you guys are having this healthy outlet, and that is great. Like, no pressure on you to do more, but no, I feel like it's my responsibility as your mom just to share with you that if you did, here are the steps you need to take in order to get there. Like, it is the work you do in the shadows, the work you do when nobody's watching, you know, and if you can't be out playing, you're out watching film or reading or learning or teaching somebody else. I mean, there's so many methods to be touching the ball, to be involved in the game. And it's up to you. And like, this game is soccer, but this same theory applies to everything in life, like everything we want to do. And so even like with my dancing, like, you know, 2 years ago, I was not a dancer. I was shy. I was like awkward. I still like don't count, or, you know, I'm not, you know, a trained professional here. And I have no desire to be. If I did, I know what I would have to do. But even still, like around my room, I think about like, if I hear one of the songs we dance to, I'm like, oh, let me see if I can remember the choreography. Or, you know, if I hear a song on the radio, like I'm kind of like visualizing it in my head. And like I said, I even have a whole playlist of like, oh, this song I've danced to in Javier's class is like a Javier. And like, if I've danced to it in his class, it's going on my Javier playlist. And sometimes like, if I'm like, sitting here and like thinking, sorry, I get like a text from my son, and so it like distracted my brain. But if I'm like sitting there and like, maybe like, you know, like, oh, I want to like get pumped up and ready for the class, like sometimes I'll just like shuffle those songs and I'll be like, yeah, because then I'll kind of go through some of the choreography in my mind. And yeah, I mean, I think it's just fun. So it's rewarding to hear, because I try not to look at myself in the mirror. I try to like position myself so I'm like behind Javier, who will cover the mirror. And you know, I will glance every once in a while or stuff like that. He'll move and I'll happen to see myself. But I'm like, I'm not trying to look at myself. I'm just trying to have fun. Like, it's not about like, am I technically getting this right? You know, and I'm sure I would be even better if I looked at myself, you know, because I can say, oh no, you know, I need to, you know, do this or do that or whatever. I just am there to have a great workout, and B, a lot of fun. And it doesn't even feel like a workout because I'm having so much fun, you know, like it is just this like place where I can let loose, and 99% of the time I can just tune out everything else that's going on in my life and just focus for 50 minutes on trying not to pass out and trying to keep up and keep my breath and, you know, just smile and have a good time. And, you know, hopefully I am, you know, a part of the encouragement of, you know, the ladies and gentlemen around me that, you know, are trying to have a good time and a good workout as well. So I say all that to say, I did my gym today, and I was like pleasantly surprised by people being kind to me. I'm like, thank you. You know, it is very nice to hear nice things about yourself. Like you're here and you're working hard and you're practicing and you're doing things. And, you know, I think, you know, especially like for me, because, like, I feel like a lot of my childhood, I intentionally tried to be unseen. Like, I didn't want, you know, I was very shy. I was quiet. I was very like, accommodating. You know, if you needed something, you could count on me. I was responsible, you know, but I also like blended in. You know, I wouldn't do anything that would bring any attention to myself. I wouldn't even try a lot of things because I was afraid of failing or upsetting someone or putting somebody out, and just so many things. Like I say, like, you know, as a kid, I used to play couple different activities or sports. And like, you know, I would sit there and I would look off in the stands, you know, or in the chairs to see if anybody was there to support me, and nobody would be there. So I really had to, like, you know, in that moment when it's like your turn to play or it's your turn to perform, or I had to really learn how to, like, in that instance, like, kind of like be like quiet, like the sadness and the broken heart, right? Because it's like you just wanted somebody to be there and say, like, I'm proud of you, like I'm willing to sacrifice a few minutes of my day to watch you do what you like to do, or watch you, you know, do something. And, you know, I don't know. It's so, like I say, that's why it's so important for me to support my kids because I feel like I know what the other side felt like. And, before it was probably to like an unhealthy level. It was just like, I mean, if I had to miss somebody, which by nature, when you have 4 kids who are playing competitive sports and competitive dance or cheer, there's only so many minutes in a weekend. And when you're traveling and things like that, it was inevitable that I would miss some of my kids' activities, and it would just gut me. I mean, I remember like apologizing to them profusely and like just like almost like obsessive, like wanting to be there. And if I couldn't, like, I just felt like I was like the worst mom and I was a failure, and they're gonna be sitting there and crying inside and look over and they're not gonna see mom smiling and giving them a thumbs up or giving them a word of encouragement or something. I tried, like, luckily we had good coaching early on that was like, do not coach. The best advice I can give you is, we are the coaches, you just come and watch. And, when they get in the car, your job is just to say, I love you and I love to watch you play. And still to this day, like that is pretty much how every conversation starts, and like, I don't go into like, blah. First off, I don't know enough about any of the sports or activities to like give any kind of advice that would be worth giving, beyond like, hey, give your opponent a compliment, like that's my constructive feedback, but I think that, like, yeah, I think my ignorance is definitely their bliss, and in mine too. So like, I just enjoy watching, their determination. I enjoy watching, their faces if perhaps they don't start in a game, or they aren't picked for that, and then like watching them work through it and then overcome it. And it's just fun to see, like, just every little piece of it. And then of course their teammates, like some of them I've known since they were toddlers as well, like, so it's just it's a really rewarding experience for me. And I have definitely had challenges, like I said before, if I had to miss anything. And now I have done a lot of work, and I am much better about it. Even at the end of Tyler's game, I will sometimes, miss the last 5 minutes so that I can go to my class, and I think like that is such huge progress for me, because it was like before I'd be like, oh, he has a game. No, not, and I've been that way. And even though like he's the 4th kid, and so he's very like, you don't have to come to this, like he very much jumps to like, I don't think I'm going to play, so you don't have to come, or, whatever. And then like a lot of times I'll listen to him, and he's like, well, how come you didn't come to my game last year? I'm like, at this particular school. And I was like, well, remember, you told me I'm not going to play in this game, so don't come. And so I was like, I'm not going to, you have to drive 30 minutes up there, 30 minutes home, you the hour before the game, the hour and a half game, like I was like, okay, fine then. I'm going to skip it. And like at that time, it was like I was going to games because I had 2 sons playing. So it was like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturdays. Like it was just, there were a lot of games last year. This year is significantly less for whatever reason. And like, I think they have like 4 more high school games or something like that. But he was like, don't come. And then he ends up playing like most of the game. I was like, are you serious? And I think he scored and everything. And I was like, remember you told me not to come. I was like, why do you tell me not to come? Dad was like, do you not want me to go to these games? He's like, no, I don't know. I think like sometimes I'm not going to play or not going to play that much. And so I think like, you're always so busy, like go do, I'm like, but I love to watch you play. So like, even if you're only going to play for 10 minutes, I want to be there for that, and he just laughed or whatever. So, but, even more than the thing, like I love the car rides with them, because I like, we get to talk about this stuff. I was like, it's just so fun to hear his perspective again, like I say, like, and hear about it and hear his feedback. And, he was like, I'm worried about one of my friends friends from his club team, and he was saying, he isn't playing that much. And, we were like talking him down. I'm like, he's probably in his head, I was like, he probably is just as talented as the other player. And, he puts in just as much time. I'm like, but if you have a mental block, if there's anything there, like, you have to do a lot of work to overcome that. I'm like, like even this, like, I can't tell you how many years that like, I've been like, with other, and I always wanted somebody like with like my sister, with my cousin, like I was like, oh my gosh, like, like people would even tell us like, you guys are so goofy and funny, but you have other stuff to say. Like I would watch you, and like, and so many years, like I would be like, oh no, I have to have my hair done and my makeup, and I don't put my hair and makeup on, and where do I have the time, and when do I have this? And now I'm like, oh my gosh, it's this like part of my day that like I really, really look forward to. And I don't even know what I'm going to say when I sit down. And just like with my writing, it's like, that's how it started. It was like, I made it this big deal, but I don't know what the name of the book is going to be called. I don't know what the subject is. And it was just like, I don't know what the name of this is. I don't even really know what the subject is, but I am here. And, I just hope to like reach the world. And if not, that's okay too, because I'm having a great time doing this. So, I just, things are going well, and I'm super excited. One area of my life where I could definitely use improvement, and this is partially by choice and just by the way I am, and probably definitely have like some, old wounds in me. And so, I am a little bit like shy in that area. I'm not really ready to make this a vulnerable risk. But one of the beautiful things of like the sports has been the relationships that I've developed on the sidelines. And, here you are, and you, again, like, you have different occupations, different things. You are bonded by your children that have the same passion for the sports. Well, like cheer was an interesting sport, because it was like, it was just an interesting sport. Okay. There's so many dynamics. You have, it is just crazy. It is, and then the whole thing of it is a very interesting sport. It is much different than the soccer, and you're dealing with, for us, was predominantly girls. Eventually we did get one male on the team. Yay, go Chase. But it was just so interesting. But I adored those moms too. Like at first I was like, listen, you might want to be a cheerleader, but I am not a cheer mom. Like, I don't know how to be a cheer mom. I am, like I say, at that time, I was pushing 300 pounds. Like, I was uncomfortable in my own skin. Like, in my mind, I envisioned every cheer mom to be like a Barbie doll. And here I was, like, gonna come in like, boom, 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 boom. Like, here comes Mrs. Russo. Yay. I just felt my own insecurities, I think, being around it, but my daughter wanted to do it. So it was like, I wasn't going to say anything. I was just like, listen, I don't know what these moms are going to be like, but I probably am, I don't know, like at that time, like, I'm totally like mind reading, passing judgment, like making assumptions. And then I get there and they're all pretty cool. I mean, they're laid back, they're funny, like it's not all this drama, like, oh my God, I was thinking it's gonna be like one of those dance mom shows where it's like they're sabotaging the other. I'm like, listen, this is that isn't my vibe. Like, I'm here to like encourage, root on, like whatever, anybody, but like I am not about like craziness. So it turns out they were all pretty awesome. And there were a few that like I really like connected with. And one in particular, we became like travel buddies. So like we would drive down to, Southern California together, and, we would share a hotel room so we didn't have to spend as much money. And, so we really got to know each other. I mean, what was so much fun. And I think like I can, as far as I know, it's like my only like person I've had an adult slumber party with, like outside of like my family. Like it was just, it was just like that. It was like a summer. It was like eating and laughing and staying up way too late, and like it was so much fun. So like, and the interesting thing is like, we would drive all the way down to Southern California to watch our daughters, she also has a daughter, compete for like 2.5 minutes, right? Like sometimes they would get to compete twice or 3 times. And it was like, we are driving and spending all this money for less than 10 minutes of, on a good day of watching them perform. But it was amazing. They were like literally national champions, and like, they did a wonderful job. Great group of girls. Most of them were very supportive of one another. Very like high achieving young women who have gone off to wonderful colleges. And I can't even believe, if they're all on the 4-year plan or whatever, however that goes, like they are all graduating now from college. Like these girls were all graduated like COVID year, like, and now like college, 4 years has gone by. Like I am dumbfounded. Like I can't believe that. And so when I think about it, like how many years I had these insecurities of my, my mental thing of wanting to do this was well before my daughter graduated high school, but I didn't have the courage because I didn't like the way I looked. I didn't have anybody who would commit. Even during COVID, my daughter and I, like, let's do a podcast together. Like, let's do something. And like, again, like whatever reason. And then, we just never did. And so I'm like, I'm tired of waiting around for people. I'm tired to have the perfect look and appearance. And you know what? It's just going to be me, how I show up, and that's it. And like being able to do this consistently, great. Like that's all I could ever hope for right now. Like I am so freaking thrilled with that. But anyways, so I have my friend, and I'm not very good at, like, she is one of the few people that knows probably a lot more about me because we've had these intense, 6 to 8 hour car rides to LA and 6 to 8 hour car rides back. And, we're talking the whole time, and then you're together for 3-4 days, nonstop. You're in a hotel room. And so I got very vulnerable with her, but I'm usually a little bit more, like reserved. Like if somebody's talking to me, I will be honest. Like I don't usually, now, in the past, like even with my dear friend Pauline, who gave me the lovely like gift of telling me my kids were, chosen from the stars just for me because I could handle them. And, like I said, that was a wonderful gift and a great way to reframe and adjust my focus. Like I was focusing on what I could see, but I couldn't see what somebody else could see. And when I saw what she saw in me, it just reminds me so much when I get kind of like narrowed in on something. Like, adjust your focus, Natasha. Like, adjust your focus. And I have to say this. So like I'm talking to my son, and of course he knows about my Be Nice story, and we're on the freeway. And I have a big car. I have a big truck and, or SUV, but, and this car, we're, just cruising nice. I'm not Mario Andretti over here. I'm just cruising nice. I'm in my little fast track lane, and it just comes over right at I'm having to slam on my brakes. They're going less than 50 miles an hour. I'm in the fast lane, in the, carpool lane, and just 50, and I honked. But immediately after, I was like, oh, I used my right hand and I honked. I was like, what is wrong with you? And to my, in the car, I didn't like do any gestures or anything. I was just like, what are you doing here? And then I was like, okay, patience is power. Like I say it out loud, I remind myself. And then my son's like, be nice. And I said, you know what? You are so right. Like, I love that you got to remind me of that today. So like, it was just, it's just those reminders, like you're so far, like you can learn and practice things, but sometimes in that moment, you're like, yep, that right hand came right in. Like, what are we doing here? Okay. Why are we coming into my lane at 50 miles an hour? There was nobody in front of you. Like, what is going on? But then, like I said, I caught myself. So I was like, patience is power out loud. And then here he came in without skipping a beat. Be nice, Mom. And I was like, you're so right. So kids, man, I love them, right? And I love like being able to be like, yep, you're right. Like, I love the accountability and I love him holding me accountable, like, for it. So yeah, still really working on the car situation, but I'm better because like I said, I recognized immediately. It wasn't like 4 or 5 minutes down the road. And so, you know, I'm improving. We'll see what happens. And then I eased back and I was like, we're just going to go 50 miles an hour. That's okay. Like, I was like, who knows what's going on? I was like, clearly not in a hurry to go see a birth of a new child or the dying of a loved one. We're not in a hurry here, but, you know, maybe this person just saved me from a car accident. So thank you, Mr. Mercedes. I appreciate the gesture. So yeah. So, I say all that to say, that was just like a little side note, but yeah, like, so with friends, I'm kind of like, okay, so I developed these relationships on, you know, the sidelines, and then they like, you know, they go further, and, you know, just similar to like even the dance, like, you know, like we see each other, you know, so often, sometimes we hang around after class for a few minutes, you know, we've gone out to like dim sum, and it's just interesting because like, I think there's a part of me that it's like, I get so involved. So if you're asking me a question, sorry. Okay. I'm going to go all the way back. Rewind. So like with Pauline, okay, there were certain things in my life, like I was so shamed about. I was so like embarrassed these things happen. I was embarrassed. This was my life. And for so many years, like what I would do is just pretend those things, not pretend like I knew, but like I would not talk about it. Like I would choose to not share. Even if directly asked, I would, I guess, lie, you know, like I would, you know, and like she would ask me, oh, how are things with you and Chris? I'm gonna be like, good, you know, like, so I guess it's a lie because it wasn't good, or maybe that day it was good. So not technically a lie, but like, yeah, like she just had no idea. And the reason why I never had explained so much to her is like, to me, I thought every relationship in Pleasanton was perfect. You know, like from the outward appearance, from what you could see on the sidelines, like, you know, I'm an observant person, right? And I pride myself on that. It just seemed like everything was going well. And so why would anybody want to hear, like I said, if I'm already living something, sometimes I don't want, I did, especially then. I'm much better now. But if I'm living something and I'm now talking about it, it's like I'm reliving a nightmare. Why do I want to, and I'm not doing it in a constructive way. You know, back then it would be like most of my friends would be venting, complaining, you know, criticizing. And so it was just like, and I could get going. Like if you're with the right person, then all of a sudden too, like I could not be irritated with Chris, and my cousin would be sitting here talking about her husband did this and he doesn't do this and doesn't do, and I would have been in a fine mood. But now suddenly I'm like, yeah, Chris never does the freaking dishes either. Like he never tells the kids to do anything. It's always me. Like he over here gets to be the good guy. I'm always the one complaining to them. They probably hate me. Like, it just never went anywhere good. I was like, why do I want to relive it? Like if I have a problem, if this is an issue for me, I should be talking to Chris, because me talking to you about it, yes, you may give me ideas or things like that, but that was not the nature of these people. And that was not the nature of these relationships or those communications. And so I just kind of felt like I have one of those faces where people often, like in my life, I think that's why when I was younger, I wanted to be a child psychologist, until I was like, they're going to come to me with some really serious things. And I'm going to want to, like, if I get invested in you, like, I love you. Like, if I know you, like, what happens to you, like a piece of it happens to me. It's so stupid. Like, cause it's like, it's so hard to love people because like, I just feel so deeply, like it hurts me to know you're hurting, and like physically, and like I don't have that separation. And so like people are like, oh well, you'll like, you'll learn tools and ways to do, not leave your work. I'm like, no, because then now these kids are going to go back home possibly into these environments, and I'm going to be like, I'll be wanting to knock on the door and be like, excuse me, you do not talk to your child this way, or whatever it is. Like, and I, obviously would only know one side of the story, but I realized, no, that wouldn't work with my personality. Like, it just, I couldn't do it. And bless the hearts of everybody who does, because there are a lot of kids out there that need you. It is just not me. But I still have one of those faces, and probably because I listen in those times, like where people just will randomly come up and like tell me like some serious like stuff, and like no seconds. I'm like, I don't even know your real name. Like, I forgot your name. And you're here telling me like how many abortions you've had. Like, what? Like, how did we go from here to here really quick? Like, what is that? But yeah, I mean, it's just, it's wild. And like, I'm always like, I'll take it, to the, I'm not gonna be like, ooh, guess what, and so maybe like I'm a trusted source, but none of these sources know, like, I guess they're trying me out, and I listen, I don't know. So like, but like, I mostly listen. I used to mostly listen, but I never would share too much. And what I did share was very like, it was very guarded. It was very much like, your social media. Like a lot of times, like for me, my social media is like, I want to be the master of what my identity is. Like, I want to define that. Like, if I, it doesn't mean for me personally, I don't need to go post every place I go or every meal I eat or whatever, I just, on occasion, like I like my little traditions. I post some Christmas picture with Santa, and, I'll post something here or there about my kids that I'm proud of, and that's, or pray for them. They've, got a brain tumor, like whatever it is, like, that's kind of like, that's what I personally like, because like my identity for so many years was like, I'm a mom, and that like fit the identity. Like for me, it was like, that was what I wanted to portray. If people tag me in this or this, like, I'm like, I didn't want this on here, like I was very like kind of protective of my own identity. And so like, I continue to be that way with some of my friendships and things like that. Like people very close to me, like my cousin, she would be like, you never complain. Like, why don't you vent about Chris or these things like that? And I'm just like, what is the point? Like, what is the point? Like, I don't know. Like, it just didn't seem worth it to me. And so a lot of times, like I said, I just didn't want to relive it. And other times I wanted to be protective. I also wanted to protect him because I want people to like him, and I want people to like me. And I know that as the spouse, I'm able, like, and when people tell me stuff, like, I get it, like, you're your spouse, things happen, like, I don't pass judgment. But a lot of people in my life previously, it was like, oh, well, now we have beef, like, whatever. So I just also was like, I never wanted them to know the full story of what was going on, because I didn't want holidays, I was, again, like creating these whole stories, like, if they know what's really happening and the way he's treating me, then they're not going to like him. And then if they don't like him, then they're not going to come for Christmas. And if they don't come for Christmas, then all my fantasies of how you have this perfect Christmas and these perfect holidays with this perfect family. And even though we're perfect, it's still really imperfect and funny in a way, because we're, it's a mess, and it's crazy, and there's kids running around, and, it's like this, Clark Griswold kind of, holiday experience. And, it's just, I put all these like crazy unrealistic expectations, and then like tried to like fulfill this by like, playing the role that I thought I was supposed to play, which was really hard, because it wasn't always, it was like a piece of me was getting what I wanted, but a piece of me also was not. And so, yeah, I say all that to say, so when it comes to friendships, I definitely have not been as like foretelling of everything, except for certain people. So I say all this to say, tomorrow I'm going to lunch with one of my dear friends, and I love her because she is so much fun, and she's a foodie, and like always when we go someplace I'm like, you pick. Like, I am the mom of 4 kids, and I am the one who is always picking where we go. So like, for me to just be able to go somewhere and not pick where it is a delight. And like, even sometimes, like, I play this little game, like if we're out at a group thing, we have to order, like, I will be like, I am just going to order what the person to the right of me is going to order. Like, like, it just depends. Like, sometimes I just want to make no decisions. I just want to be like, I'll have whatever, like, I don't mean it like I'll have whatever, but then be like, ooh, no, I don't want that though. I just kind of like, listen, I just let's go there. So I'm really excited. I've never tried Korean barbecue, and we are going to go have Korean barbecue. So I'm like super excited. I am going to yum it up. I am so excited about this. And I'm most excited because like we're going someplace that, again, it's like near where actually I was today. And it's like 30 minutes away. So we get this like mini car ride again, and like a little deja vu, and catch up on where her girls are and my kids are and where she's been, because she's an empty nester now. And I love to live vicariously through her because she loves to travel, and she's frugal, but like, it will be willing to spend. Like, she's just a doll, and I love her stories. And she was the first person that ever taught me about we had one full night about this, like the whole love language thing. So she was teaching me about that. She also was teaching me about like extrovert, introverts. Like, she is just a fascinating woman, and she's like, she knows so much. Brilliant, very brilliant woman. She went to Berkeley, like, go Bears, and so I have this, connection with my kids now. But yeah, she is a hoot, and she is so much fun, and we have so many like little inside jokes. It's so great because it's like one of those people, like my friend Lori from high school, where it's like you get together and you may not see each other for a year or 2 years, and it's like a beat is not skipped. Like, it is not skipped, and it is like you just like riding a bike, you back in old times again, and you find yourself just laughing and giggling about like past, future, present, like it all. It is so good. So I'm really, really excited to do that tomorrow. And but it does make me realize like my excitement I have right now. I'm like a little kid, like, yeah, I get to go meet my friend, I get to have a play date. It does remind me that another place that I could use some work is, in the friend department. And it's not that like people don't like me or anything like that. Like my mom one time, and I joke about this like all the time, but one time she came over, she was like, look, she's like, I'm popular. Everybody likes me. I just don't like them. Like, she's a very different personality. Like, she's very outgoing, very generous, very loving. Like, I get a lot of my personality from her, like, too, even though she wasn't around. Like, like, she is a nice woman. I mean, she is an animal person. So like, you mess with the animals, you mess with the mama bear, like she will get you. Like, like for her, it's all about the animals. And she lives in a place where there's deer and lots of animals, a lot of wildlife, wild cats, everything, like she's living it. She's living it with the animals. And she's got her dogs and the cats and then the stray cats, and I don't even know. She probably collects dang bugs. I don't even know. She got a lot of animals. But I'm glad she's not alone. And I'm glad she has her animals to like make her laugh and, whatever. I don't get it. I am personally not an animal person. And not that I don't think that they're cute or anything like that. Like, I'm just at the point where I'm like, listen. Well, I've been at the point. Like, my kid's like, can we get a dog? Can we get a cat? Can we get a... I said, listen, I changed 4 butts. I changed many diapers. Even before you guys, I was a nanny. I changed cousins, brothers. I'm out of the diaper business. I don't want to be concerned about anything else's poop anything else is pee. I mean, I even had to do adult diapers. I've done my uncles, I did my aunties. Like, I am out of the poop business. And I know if I get an animal, I'm back in the poop business. And I don't want to be in the poop business. I've had enough responsibility in my life, and enough to know that when my kids someday, if it's not them, it's going to be me. When either one of us flies this nest, I don't want to have to worry about getting a pet sitter, or, you know, about their well-being, or that they have to go out and take a poop or pee, or even if they have a box, I don't want to clean the box. None of it. No, I want freedom of responsibility. So kudos to you, pet people, because it has a lot of work. I hear like stories and people will be like, my dog had a stomach ache, I had to take it to urgent care, and I spent $1,700. I was like, what? I'm like, that is like a whole trip somewhere. Like, so, I mean, not probably nowadays, geez, but like, seriously, $1,700? I was like, I could like go to a spa weekend or something. I could really spoil myself. Because your dog has a tummy ache, like, oh, I couldn't do it. I just don't know how you guys do it, but kudos to you guys, because they are super cute. I mean, some of them I see, I'm like, that is dang cute. Like, that could get me. That could get in trouble with you. You are in trouble. But I remind myself, I am out of the poop and pee business. So, no pets for me. Sorry. But yeah, so, she's crazy. But yeah, so it's like, it's not that people don't like me, and it's not that I don't like them. It's just, it's really hard for me to like sacrifice that time. And this particular stage of my life is where I'm really still exploring so much about myself. I'm healing so much about myself. I'm discovering new things. I'm finding new passion. So it's like, I'm in this season of Natasha, and I just don't feel like, beyond my kids, because even my marriage doesn't get the attention it deserves, beyond my kids, like nothing, and like there's, you know, significant others if they're here or whatever, like that gets my attention, that gets my energy. And beyond that, like, it is about me. And that's so weird to say. Like, there's a piece of me that like kind of cringes, and, you know, like that old part that's like, can you say that? But it is true. Like, for so many years, like, if you look at a totem pole, like, it was just like my kids, and they were like all four at one, unless like somebody else was sick, and then they kind of like had a bump up temporarily or something, you know, and then, you know, then it equalizes back out when you know, I used to always say like, okay, once like I yelled at Dylan, you know, or like was like, Dylan, you need to do your own chore. It wasn't even like yell, but like was stern. I knew he was okay. Like, that's the moment I always look for when somebody is sick, like, or, you know, something like that. Like, okay, you could do your own chores now. Yeah, I'm done pitching in. You got it, kid. You got it. You know, and then it's like, okay, you're back to normal. You know, it's like when they're sick, it's like, I'll do anything. You guys help out, you know, needs extra support right now. Like, let's take turns. Like, let's tag team this, whatever. But, I'm just really in this season of nurturing myself. And it's in this place where, like, I know my default setting is to nurture, care for, worry about everyone else. That was the totem pole, right? It was like my 4 kids, my family and Chris, friends, anybody else in this world, strangers, mean people, then me. Like, way, like down here. And it's like one of those things where it's like, you know, for me, I recognize this about my personality is like, I will go into that so easy. It is my default. I am going to honk at you when you come into my fast lane going 50 miles an hour for no reason. There was no reason for you to get in my lane. But patience is power. and I have to be nice. I don't have to, but I want to be nice, and I want to practice what I preach. So I am working on being nice. But like I say, I have those natural tendencies to take you on in like immersion. Like when my son tore his ACL, I mean, like I said, I barely knew. I kind of knew that the ACL was in the knee just because I've watched enough football, but I really didn't know. I mean, I thought worst case scenario, this was a 6 weeks injury. And he didn't even have surgery he had to do pre-rehab for 6 weeks. And then you had surgery. And then I just had no idea. And then there were decisions like, what kind of graft do you want? Do you want the, cadaver? Do you want your own with your quad? Do you want your own with your patella tendon? Do you want your own with this? Do you want the, IT band as an insurance policy? I mean, I have now, like I said, become an expert on these things because I fully immersed. Like, it was like anything else I was doing, everything else I was doing went way on the side burner. Even for me, I was able to still maintain my practices, my things that I have now found as my non-negotiables, my making my bed, my steps, my intermittent fasting for, 99.9% of the days. Like, if there's like tomorrow I'm going to lunch, she wants to go earlier. I am not a stickler to be like, and I know like if it really meant something to me, I would say, hey, I don't eat till 1. Can we meet at 12:30 instead? Like, we're going someplace. We're going to get there around 11:30 noon. We're going to be eating around there. It's okay. Like, it's not going to be like, it's not a problem. Like, and I think that it's healthy for me to be able to say like, today I'm eating at 12 and that's okay. Like, I think it's healthy to know that like those options are always available. And I think that's one of the beauties of this particular lifestyle is that you can choose how it works. Like, I can eat the cake at my kid's party and not feel guilty. I can eat bread before I eat, like I said, any and everything I want to eat. There is nothing that they say, no, I mean, beyond like this, you maybe shouldn't eat any, but like I say, I have a sweet tooth. I like sweets and I eat them a lot, like recently I've been trying to do like kind of more, I don't know what is going on there, but I've been doing more like protein, kind of like I'm just trying different things, like because like I always want, like I hear something and I try something, so like yeah, my non-negotiables, I continue to do those even when something was going wrong with my son, and even though like my time was now that I would be doing other things, like maybe starting this or working on the house or whatever else I want to do, I put everything on the back burner and I was using my time. I was choosing to use my time to become super educated on this matter, because while he was a 17-year-old and I was going to allow ultimately him to make the decision, I also knew that probabilities stake wise, he is not going to be sitting around and reading all the options. So in order for me to feel comfortable on which decisions we're going to make, I had to reach out to people that I knew had this injury. I had to reach out to people that were strangers. I had to reach out to any kind of medium I can find, apps, YouTubes. I professional athletes and their journeys. Like, I wanted to have all the information to provide it to my son so that he could make a decision on his body. If he's 7 years old, I still allow you to make the decision. It's your body, your choice. Like when my son did the peanut allergy trials at Stanford, I was like, and he had to read those big words. I was like, you choose. If you don't have to be the hero here. Like, if you don't want to do this at any point, we can stop. Like, you don't have to even start. Like, when it came time for my son's brain surgery, like, you were involved. Like, this is your body. This is your choice. Like, here are the options. Here are the things. I want you to think about it and make the decision that's best for you, and I will support you in whatever you want to do. And when it came to my son's knee, I was really scared. Like, there were parts of me that I was like, why are we jumping to surgery? You know, because I've been around so much medical things, right? I truly believe that in healing, it is a holistic approach. I believe that the best way to heal is through a combination of measures. It is Eastern and Western medicine. It is nature. It is patience. Like, there are spiritual parts to healing. There are mental parts to your healing. Like, I remember, and it sounds so crazy, but like, I remember when my son was doing the peanut stuff, and I was like, you know, like a visual person. And like, then we were watching Star Wars and stuff. And I was like, okay, I want you to imagine, you know, it's like the bad guy, you know, like in you is the allergy, and they're like the stormtroopers, and they're the bad guys. And, you know, you guys, you're the resistance, and, you know, you're going to go in there and you're going to, you know, get all the bad guys out of there. And, you know, like, I just so believe in this. So like, even when Dylan had his surgery, for the brain, like, I wanted him to be a part of it. And I wanted him to know that it's not just the physical healing. Like, there is such a bigger part that we can't see that is going on in your body. And, you know, like, when he was healing, like, it was really important for me, because we didn't know how much it would affect him. Like, he's had to do like neuropsych evaluations, and he has had some deficiencies in some places, but we don't talk about that. Like, and I don't, like, what I may read in a report, I will not show him, because I want him to define what he is, not some test, not some evaluation. While those are important and they're good to know, and they're helpful for me to advocate behind him, to say, hey, we need these resources available to him, and here is the evidence on why we need them. But I want him to challenge and find what it is, not be told and then you just simply believe it. And so when he had his surgery, I treated him in some ways. I didn't treat him. Like, let me explain. I treated him in some ways the way I taught my, or behaved towards like my infants. And let me explain why. Not that he was a baby or anything like that. Is I just felt like his brain was super vulnerable, and it was in this area of like growth. And so I just wanted to, like, I played a lot of classical music, like with the kids when they were babies. Like, I always played classical music for them. And like, they ended up being like super gifted in like math or whatever. And so I'm like, okay, maybe there was something there, you know, like I was like, you're taking naps. And he didn't want to, right? Like, his head would hurt. He, you know, he had hundreds of stitches and staples and all kinds of stuff in his head. I think it was just stitches. I don't think there were any staples. Screws. There are things that are not supposed to be in your brain right now, like on your skull. But and so I would like have him take naps. Like, we would literally watch. He was like, I know, because it would put him to sleep like almost immediately, and he would hear it come on. But like, it was really helpful for me. So I was like, listen, this is what we're gonna watch, because he was like homeschooled for like 6 months. But I was like, okay, so we would watch Super Soul Sunday. And so I was like, this is good. So I was like, just like, you know, like getting in through osmosis, like, and just hearing these things and hearing a lot of like positive, talking, and like just hearing like really like uplifting things I felt was like really important. And like hearing other like stories of other people that were experienced their own kind of battles with resilience, and to hear like how they've come up the other side. We would often even, like, I would say, okay, today we're going to go today we're gonna take a little walk. So again, like back then we were walking, but like I would say, okay, now today we're gonna go outside and we're gonna sit in the sun. And I want you to feel that sun, and I want you to close your eyes. And he's like, oh, Mom, don't want to. I'm tired. I'm this, I'm this. I'm like, nope, get up. We're going outside and we're just going to sit out here. And I remember we would sit out in the curb, and this is like January, February, and some days were a little bit chillier than others. And we would just sit on the curb. And I'm like, I just want you to quiet everything. I want you to feel that sun, like healing on you, like that vitamin D. I'm like, you think about it, like the sun gives plants life, like this, there is healing properties in the sun. Just let it shine on you for a few minutes. Let it go on your face, down your brain, you know, in through your body. And he's just like, Mom, I'm like, come on, just do it. And so he would reluctantly, but then would do it. And I'm like, and then I want you to just get quiet. I'm like, listen around what's going down. Listen to those leaves rolling down the street. Listen to the birds. Listen to this hum of the freeway. Listen, you know, just hear. I'm like, then what do you smell? Like, smell. What do you smell right now? Like, do you smell nothing? You know, like, do you smell your mom's breath? Like, what do you smell? Just smell what's going on. You know, like, you know, can you feel your clothes on your body? Feel the cold breeze on your arm. Like, just really just kind of just release all these other things. And so, like, I know it sounds so kooky, but I really do believe too that has been part of like why he's had such like a miraculous like ability to come back. I mean, the kid is crazy smart, like still like all the areas of life, like he just got his report card. It was like a 4.36 or something for the semester. I'm like, come on now, like, you know, like you did that, like, and you did all that despite what these reports here I have that say you shouldn't be able to do those things. And it's like, if I know, but you don't know, and you believe you can, then I believe you can, and I know you can. But if you believe you can't, if there's even a shred of doubt in you, then you can't. It's impossible until you see that you are possible. And so I did the same thing with my oldest son. So like he had the open heart surgery, and like, again, I was like, even though I was young, I was like, you know, I'm like, he's healing, you know, his body needs extra nurturing and things. So it was like, he was still a baby, but like, you know, so I did all these things with him similarly, but obviously he is not talking back to me and saying, yes, I feel the breeze, Mom. But, one thing I did with him was, I remember after his surgery, you know, during the checkups and stuff, we went to the one doctor who was the husband of the woman that had stopped me to say, hey, you know, we're going to go for coffee. And, you know, so she put me on the right path. And it wasn't because it was her husband, like he happened to be the best. And then, you know, he was connected with the best. So like, it wasn't like oh, we want your business kind of thing. But, she just was really like had his best interest at heart. And I so appreciate that. Like, I can't even imagine my life without him. But, anyways, he had told me, he was like, listen, he's like, I'm going to tell you something. Can I just be really honest with you? You know? And I said, yeah, absolutely. And he was like, you're young. And I said, yes, I'm very young. And he's like, okay. So I'm going to just tell you, we fixed your son. We did the hard work. We fixed him, and your son is an amazing patient. He's doing everything he's supposed to, and he's healing up. And what I want you to do, he's like, what I see a lot of parents come in here, and we do our job, right? We fix them up. But then what they do is they're too afraid to let them live. They've experienced this trauma with their child, and understandably, they're scared. They're scared to let them go. They're scared that they're going to hurt more than they've already hurt. And so they overprotect their child. And in that love to overprotect them, they're not letting them live. And the whole point of us doing the surgery was so that they can live and not just survive, that they could live. So what I'm going to ask you to do, Natasha, is I want you to let him climb to the top of that playground. It's going to scare you inside. And you're going to worry, what if he falls? And what if he hits this part of his heart? Because his heart isn't even like protected by the rib cage because it's rotated. He said, let him do everything he wants. Anything he wants and everything he wants within reason. But don't have the reason why he doesn't do something be because you're scared. We fixed him. We did our job. You've been a great mom. You've been a great support to him. Now let him live. And I really took that to heart. And I mean, at that time, I was probably 23, maybe 24, right? Because it, could have been a little bit after his surgery. And I really took it to heart. And I remember laying in bed and I remember thinking, like, he's so right. Like, I just want to protect this little guy, right? He's already been through so much. And what does that mean? Like, what is my idea of protection? It means, like, I don't want you to like do anything that's going to make you fall down and get hurt or anything. I don't want you to hurt. And so I remember laying in bed and I just started thinking and I was like, dang, I think he's right. Like, I don't want someday my son to come running and be like, oh, I can't clean my room today. My heart hurts. Like, I didn't want him to use it as a crutch. Like, I didn't want this incident, this introduction into the world that was so traumatic and crazy to define him. I wanted Bradley to define him, not these circumstances that were out of his control. So I laid there and I thought and I had some time. It wasn't like, he was a toddler or little, he was little. I think at this time he was, I think, just about to be a toddler, maybe almost one. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to let him do it. We went to the park all the time. He went running. He was always running. He would bang his head, have big old goose eggs. Like, he was your typical little crazy little boy. He was like so full of life and so full of energy. I was like, oh my gosh, this kid probably is like ADD or something. I don't know, but he does not stop. And the funny thing about that is like, I remember he was 3 years old and I like am looking in like things like what sports do kids that run? Like, what's a good one? And they were like it was like soccer. So I was like, okay. So I'm looking in the catalog and I call the Parks and Rec and I'm like, hi, it says here, like, you have to be 3.5, but my son is 3 and he loves to run. He was really good behaved. He is so calm. And he, I really would like to put him in soccer, but he's a little young. And it was this like kids love soccer program. And they were like, what we can do is we can make an exception. And then like, if for some reason, like it's not working out, like he's just too young for the program, what we'll do is we'll just put it on hold. And then when he's 3.5, like you'll have already paid. So it's no like harm or whatever. And I'm like, oh, sweet, cool. We're going to do this. And so like I said, we were always at the park. We were always taking walks. He was just so full of energy, this kid. And I used to be like, is it because of like the overstimulation in the NICU with all the sounds and the noise or whatever it is? But I don't know what it was. But the minute he hit that soccer field, all the energy literally went there. Like, he was this crazy Tasmanian devil, like, but in a controlled way. Like, it was like, he was just this beast. I was like, I never played soccer. My husband never played soccer. Like, who is this? Like, where are you coming from? And it was like all he could think about. And when he hit that field, it was like he released it all. And then he went into the rest of the world like a normal person. So like, it was totally his outlet and his thing from the time that he was 3 years old. And I was like, wow, that is pretty incredible. But yeah, like, so basically, long story short was I decided what would be best would be, in order for Bradley to define who he was, is I was going to not tell him. Like, there was just like no reason to be like, hey, so here's what happened, and here's the, like, it just never, like, I just made the choice that we're just not gonna tell him, and until the time is right to tell him, until, like, whatever. So I remember even, like, when my daughter was born, you know, like, when the kids are little, and then when she started talking, she was, like, you know, like, she was around, and actually, she wasn't talking. I remember my son, and, like, she was a baby, and then one day, he looked at her, and, you know, because they take a bath or whatever together. Poor kids now, like, they're like, oh my God, Mom, you let me take a bath. And I'm like, yeah, both of you guys are on bubble bath same time. Sorry. Just seems so easy. And with all the toys and everything, it was fun. But he looked at me one time and he was like, why doesn't she have this? And I was like, what? And he was like, this. And he was pointing to his scar. And I was like, oh. I'm like, your zipper? And he was like, yeah, why doesn't she have a zipper? And I was like, oh, you were special. You were lucky. You got a zipper. She didn't get a zipper. That's all. And he was like, oh, okay. You know, like, didn't like question any further. So I was like, shoo, okay, dodged that bullet. And then it just never came up. Like, he went to doctors, but this was just his normal life. Like, it wasn't like a suddenly I'm going to doctors or whatever. It was just like, oh, okay, whatever, you know, and they're talking, he's not listening, he's tuning out BSD, ASD, you know, whatever. He's just thinking this is what kids do, right? This is normal. And then until 4th grade. And then in 4th grade, he had, again, like I always say, it's always those perfect storms, right? Like, it's like multiple things, small things that you can handle on a daily basis, all added up. And he ended up having an episode in school, and he like fainted. His teacher thought he was faking. Like, it was this whole like thing. And believe me, Mama Bear came out that day too. Don't worry. Yeah. I was like, how dare you? Like, but then it also taught me, like, I didn't realize that they didn't get the information because we didn't have like a 504 or anything. Like, and I didn't know I was supposed to. I let them know on the forms in the first, you know, the beginning of school, like previous open heart surgery, VSD, but like, I didn't know, they didn't get like the full details of it. So like, the teacher wasn't aware. Like, you know, I learned so much from that experience that has gone on and protected his siblings as a result. But so after that, I had to have it, because like, obviously Bradley didn't know anything about that time himself, even to advocate for himself. Like, no, like he didn't have a clue. And so I remember like sitting outside the school and like picking him up, and he was like fully like in an episode, and like a cardiac event kind of episode. And I remember like going home that night, and I'm like, I need to talk to you, and I need to explain to you, like, you know, once all like we knew I took him to the ER and everything, once I knew, you know, he was safe and, you know, like was not in a kind of flooded and a really, you know, like I just, you know, you just had a cardiac event, you know, like kind of state, like once things had calmed down. And I was like, I need to be honest with you. I need to tell you, and here are my reasons. And I'm sorry, like when this happened, like I'm really sorry for the decision I made to withhold it from you for this long. I should have did better by you, but I really thought all this time I was doing you a favor by not telling you, so that you didn't have these worries, like maybe I shouldn't be playing soccer, or maybe I shouldn't be playing on, like, I just wanted you to define what your limits were. I didn't want your limits defined by me or by a doctor's report or a doctor's recommendation. Like, that was really important for me. And like, look at all you've done. Like, you are a crazy good soccer player. Like, you run track. You're so fast. Like, you are like fearless on the playground, and, you know, like all those things. So, you know, I think that it is so important to like have this like mental state about you. And it's like, whatever we believe, we can become, and that can sometimes be something we don't want to become, and that could be something like we're fighting against, but it could be something we do want to become. And I do believe like there is such a holistic approach to healing, and what else did we cover today? Friends. And that's another area in which I think when I transition out of this, like almost like vigilant, like I need to protect myself, not protect myself. That isn't the right word. I need to show up for myself. I need to heal myself. I need to prioritize myself right now. And that's the season I'm in. I can tell I'm going to slowly start transitioning out of it. But in order to do that, I needed to really like say goodbye and say no and really hyper focus on myself in order to put in that 10,000 hours to become a pro at it. Like I needed to have this time to be able to listen to the books and read the books and apply different things as it shows up in life and be accountable and be like, made a mistake again today, guys, but that's my name. I make a mistake every day and I'm going to learn from it. And then, you know, eventually somebody's going to pull over in front of me going 50 miles an hour and I'll just wave and be like genuine and not like, you're an idiot. You know, I'm gonna just be like, having a good day. You know, like that's the kind of goal for me. Because what is the point of getting irritated? Like I'm upsetting myself for no reason and I have zero control. I'm just stuck behind you anyways. Like, you know, like I said, today backing off and having my son say that and remembering on this side, left hand, patience is power, you know, looking at my sticky, like, it's changed and I feel so good. I wasn't irritated. It was like, it was left there. I was actually laughing, you know, at my own self. And, you know, I'm glad, you know, my son could laugh at me too. And, you know, I think that that's what it is. It's like a lot of trial and error. And I just don't have the capacity right now. And I know that about me to really give to anybody else. And if I didn't even have my kids, I would be like being able to spend even more time. But I still adore my kids. I mean, I will always adore them, but like they still need their mama and I still need them. And you know, like there's so many lessons, like again, that they teach me and I teach them. And you know, I am choosing at this time not to have that many intimate relationships, but like when they come up and there's lunch dates, like I have a couple other ones planned with I have one planned with my friend Pauline, loosely planned. I got to check on the dates. I have another one loosely planned with my friend Lori. And then, you know, like I say, I go to the gym and, you know, things come up where they are inviting me to play pickleball or they're inviting me to a dinner or lunch or whatever. And so I do have opportunities to still socialize, which is healthy. And of course, like I have still have my soccer friends on the sideline from Tyler's team at least, and Dylan isn't playing right now. But so I'm still have a lot of like contact and, you know, like even in the classes, even very casual relationships are nice. And I still have my like Pleasanton group of girls that are crazy from the gym. So like I have a lot of outlets. I'm just choosing who I'm intimate with, like who knows like the you know, the real vulnerable stuff, because it's just like it takes a lot of time, because I know if I share then you're sharing, and like I have so many projects and things that I'm working on that I don't have a lot of excess time for more. And so like I was thinking today, like I'm like, okay, now I'm like I have the meditating and I have all these things, like I do my little like 5 minutes of meditation. I'm trying to like be a part of my now daily non-negotiables, and like I take them on slowly, like okay, these things, and I'm like, soon I'm gonna need 48 hours in a day to get everything I want to get done. But I've literally never been happier in my entire life as to when I'm actually caring for myself and doing these things. Like so many things that like used to matter just simply don't matter. And like it's just like, just try it. Just try something. Try one thing today, like please, and just see how it just grows and grows and grows and grows, and just how beautiful life can be. And you, my friend here, are such a big part of that. And I'm so grateful for you. And I'm so grateful for this opportunity. And I can't wait to hear your stories, even though I was just saying, like, it's hard for me to take on more. But now I want to know about you. Like, I want to learn from you. I think it's just so incredible to have that opportunity. And yeah, so I will talk to you tomorrow sometime after my lunch, maybe before my dance, maybe after. And I hope you have a wonderful evening, day, morning, whatever it is. And I can't wait to talk to you soon. Bye.